Who's that? Commander Claw. Who's bad? Commander Claw. Welcome to the channel, Commanderlings. On this episode of the 10-Minute Commander Guide, I will be showing you one way to build around the new GRIXIS commander from Brothers War, Ashnod the Uncaring. This deck building brew will leave room for your creativity and give you a combat-focused strategy. Let's preview our GRIXIS commander. For two colors, red, black, and a blue, she is a human artificer that has death touch and reads, whenever you activate an ability of an artifact or creature that isn't a mana ability, if one or more permanents were sacrificed to activate it, you may copy that ability. You may choose new targets for the copy. Let's introduce our strategy. The foundation of this deck will be combat focused. You will want to swing with multiple creatures and use combat tricks. Pound your opponent's life total from 40 to 0 in just a few turns. Let's introduce the creatures for this deck. First, we have Cleaver Scab. Here's a 2/4 zombie horror for 3 colors and a blue. It says tap 3 colors, sack another zombie, and tap itself to create 2 tokens that are copies of the sacrificed creature. With Ashnod's ability, you sacrifice 1 zombie to create 4 token copies. Second, Ghoul-Caller Giza. You may have the idea of a zombie tribal, but just wait and see further in the video. Giza is a 3/4 human wizard for 3 colors and 2 black. She has tap 1 black and sacrifice another creature. Create X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens, where X is the sacrificed creature's power. With Ashnod's ability, you will double the size of your army. With Giza, you can sacrifice any creature. What's important is the creature's power. Third, it is the Tymaret the Murder King. He's a 2/2 Rakdos zombie warrior. Sorry, I had to set you up, Commanderlings. But when's the last time you actually seen him not in a bulk box? Well, now he has value with Ashnod the Uncaring. Tymaret has pay 1 colors and red. Sacrifice another creature and deal 2 damage to target player or planeswalker. Then you can pay 1 colorless and a black and sacrifice a creature to return them from your graveyard to your hand. The low-cost zombie warrior can deal out 4 damage to players or planeswalkers when his girlfriend Ashnod is on the battlefield. Next up, we have artifacts that create tokens. Next, to further support the sacrifice fodder, we will need ways to drop zombie tokens into play. What makes this commander attractive is she can ultimately double the amount of zombies at a lower mana rate compared to your popular Army of the Damned spell, which drops 13 zombie tokens into play for an atrocious 8 mana. Let's start off with the Crowded Crypt. It's an artifact for 2 colorless and a black. It taps for 1 black mana. Then, whenever a creature you control dies, put a corpse counter on Crowded Crypt. Then tap 6 mana and sacrifice Crowded Crypt to create a 2/2 black zombie token with decay for each corpse counter on Crowded Crypt. Perfect early game, non-threatening artifact. If your opponents are smart, they shouldn't waste a spell destroying this when there are players using the greatest hinge on early turns. Well, you know by now with Ashnod the Uncaring, this trigger will be copied. Therefore, you can create an overwhelming army at an earlier rate and at instant speed. Next up is the Soul Separator, a 3 mana artifact which you probably never heard of. Tap 5 colorless mana and sacrifice Soul Separator to activate the ability. Exile target creature card from your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of that card, except it's a 1/1. It's a spirit in addition to its other types, and it has flying. Then create a black zombie creature token with power equal to that card's power and toughness equal to that card's toughness. That's a lot, and let's unpack it. Essentially, you get 2 creatures when you exile the 1 creature. 1 creature is a copy of it, meaning it has all of its abilities. Then the second creature is just a body, hence the name of the card, Soul Separator. Now with Ashnod the Uncaring, you get a total of 4 creatures. 2 copy creatures and 2 body creatures. You can get creative here on which creatures you would like to return to the battlefield. Remember, enter the battlefield triggers work here. Creatures with Reanimation. Since we have a pseudo zombie tribal theme going on here, reanimation abilities can be useful. Let's discuss 3 creatures that reanimate. First, we have the Apprentice Necromancer. It's a 1/1 zombie wizard for 1 colors and a black. Tap 1 black and sacrifice it to return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. That creature gains haste. Then sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. With Ashnod the Uncaring, you get to retrieve 2 creatures to the battlefield with haste. Apprentice Necromancer's ability can be used before you go into combat and at instant speed to create blockers. Dual purpose here. Second, we have Bonecaller Cleric. Does the same reanimation effects as Necromancer, but without haste and only at sorcery speed. Redundancy is important in decks. So in the comment section below, list any more creatures that you know that have the same or similar ability or even something better. Bonecaller Cleric allows you to tap 3 colorless and 1 black to return target creature card in your graveyard to the battlefield. With Ashnod on the field, you can choose 2 creatures instead. Last but not least, Thane the Broker. It's a 3/3 human warlock for 2 colorless and a black. This guy has 4 activated abilities for only 3 mana. He has huge upside and combo potential. Let's read it. First, ability is to tap and sacrifice a creature to add 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. With Ashnod the Uncaring, that will be a total of 4 +1/+1 counters. Second, tap and remove a counter from a creature you control to create a treasure token. Third, tap and sacrifice an artifact to create a 2/1 white and black inkling creature with flying. Finally, tap 3 colors and a black to untap Thane the Broker. You see where I'm going here, right? He's a multi-talented engine. He adds +1/+1 counters, which is great for proliferators. He mana ramps by creating treasure tokens. He's a token generator, your inklings, and he also untaps himself. What else do you want? Only 2 of his abilities will synergize with Ashnod, and they are creating 4 +1/+1 counters or creating 2 inkling tokens. He is the definition of versatility. Creature cost reducers. Moving on, since we have a creature combat focus deck, it helps to reduce the cost of your commander and its supporting cast. The first card, I doubt many of you commanderlings have ever seen it. It is the Seal of the Guild Pact. You might want to buy this card while it's cheap before this video goes viral, wink wink, and the card value goes crazy. I'm crossing my fingers on this video going viral, just to let you know. For 5 mana, this artifact says, as the Seal of the Guild Pact enters the battlefield, choose 2 colors. Each spell you cast costs 1 less for each of the chosen colors it has. Well, you have 3 options since you're playing with the GRIXIS colored Ashnod. That is red, blue, or black. Next, cost reducer is Semblance Anvil, a 3 mana artifact that has imprint. When Semblance Anvil enters the battlefield, you may exile a non-land card from your hand. Spells you cast that share a card type with the exile card cost 2 less to cast. That will be easy to do since most of the spells will be creatures. However, Semblance Anvil does leave the room for creativity or your win con by reducing other spells if you meet the requirement. Third, Embalmer's Tool, which is probably underutilized but effective in the right decks. It's an artifact for 2 colors mana. It reads, activated abilities with creature cards in your graveyard cost 1 less to activate. Tap an untapped zombie you control. Target player mills a card. My initial thought with this card was utilizing Reassembling Skeleton, because when he's in the graveyard, he has an activated ability, which returns him to the battlefield. But since we're attacking and using red, think about all those Phoenix creature types that return with haste. Plus, they're perfect to discard for rummaging effects. Next up, we have Combat Tricks. Now, this deck is nothing without Combat Tricks. You will need to do heavy damage to your opponent, but it will be easy with GRIXIS. Here are just a few cards to get you started. First, we have the classic Goblin War Drum, highly effective enchantment that gives your creatures menace. Remember, you created a zombie army, and the last thing your opponents want to do is to count how many blockers they actually have. Next, you have the Planeswalker Angrath, Captain of Chaos. His static ability gives your creatures menace, but his loyalty ability for -2 has a mass 2, which creates a zombie army token with 2 +1/+1 counters. Remember, Thane the Broker? Remove the counters from the zombie armor token to create treasure tokens. Synergy alert! Let's not forget about Berserker's Onslaught, another simple, straightforward enchantment that gives your attacking creatures double strike. Haymakers. Now we're going to have fun in this section called Haymakers. This is when you add that card to your deck for the right moment. You need to expect anything and have an open mind here. Just know these cards might be the answers or counters to certain metas your group is playing. First, this legendary creature is dear to my heart. Baron the Master Wizard. If he's on the field with Ashnod, this can get very ugly for your opponents. Let's read. For 2 blue and 1 colorless, the 1/1 human wizard says, tap 2 colorless and sacrifice a permanent to return target creature to its owner's hand. With Ashnod the Uncaring, this will be 2 target creatures to its owner's hand for the price of 1 sacrifice permanent. You have the luxury of returning your own creatures to your hand and not just your opponent's. Second, you have Candlekeep Inspiration. This is the perfect card when you are a victim of a graveyard hater. This sorcery spells for 1 blue and 4 colorless. It says, until end of turn, creatures you control have base power and toughness XX, where X is the number of cards you own in exile. in your graveyard that are instant, sorcery, or cards that have adventure. Wow. Transforming those 2/2 tokens to 4/4s can be the combat damage difference from winning or losing the game. Finally, we have Grinning Totem, a 4-mana artifact. Tap 2 colors and sacrifice it. Search target opponent's library for a card and exile it. Then that player shuffles. Until the beginning of your next upkeep, you may play that card. At the beginning of your next upkeep, if you haven't played it, put it into your owner's graveyard. What are you doing here is a twisted tutoring effect. You're looking into your opponent's library and possibly casting it. With Ashnod the Uncaring, you get to look at 2 target players' library for any card. I'll let you brew on that one. Next up is card draw, our last category for our GRIXIS commander. With Ashnod, you're going to draw twice the amount of cards. Let's dive in. Ethereum Astrolabe is a 2 colors, 1 blue artifact with flash. Tap 1 black and sacrifice an artifact to draw a card. What I like most about this card is its flash ability. How many times have you been victim when your mana rock is blown up by instant removal? Especially when someone's being petty. Now you have the answer. Second, this will be my favorite. From Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, I'm proud to introduce Hidetsugu, Devouring Chaos. The 4-mana Ogre Demon has tap 1 black, sacrifice a creature to scry 2. Now with Ashnod, you can scry 2 and then scry 2. This is a huge difference than scrying 4. The demon's last ability is tap 3 mana to exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. When you exile a non-land card this way, Hidegetsu deals damage equal to the exile card's mana value to any target. So use the Ogre Demon wisely, Commanderlings. Now that wraps up our commander, Ashnod. A powerful commander that copies activated abilities when a permanent is sacrificed. Feel free to comment below on any other activated abilities that synergize with Ashnod the Uncaring that I possibly missed. When do you do that? It helps other deck brewers build stronger decks. That would make it a very good reason to continue visiting my channel.